transforming heartbreak into unbreakable strength, a Stoic approach. Imagine if I told you that the moment she walked away was not the moment of your defeat. Instead, it was the very instant you received the opportunity to reconstruct yourself into a version that she will never comprehend, never attain, and certainly does not deserve again. At this moment, you might find yourself lying awake, staring at the ceiling in the early hours of the morning, perhaps around 3 a.m. Your eyes are wide open, and the silence around you is deafening. No messages, no phone calls, just an overwhelming stillness that feels as if it is consuming you from the inside out. You are likely grappling with the question of where things went awry, replaying your last conversation in your mind. You can still hear the chill in her voice, the way she expressed her need for time, her journey of self-discovery, or even worse, her mention of someone else. It stings, doesn't it? Naturally it does. You allowed her to delve deep into your soul. She entered, explored every part of you, and then left the space in disarray. Such a betrayal etches itself into your very being. However, this moment right here is what distinguishes those who crumble from those who rise above. She may believe that you will spiral into despair, that you will inundate her with messages, that you will plead and apologize for things you didn't even do, or that you will seek attention through social media, engaging with mutual friends in an attempt to validate yourself. She anticipates that you will buckle under the pressure of rejection. She expects to see weakness. But let me pose a question to you. Why not become the unexpected? Why not choose to go silent, not as a tactic, but as a powerful declaration? Why not allow her to experience what it feels like to lose access to your presence, your energy, and your unwavering support? She used to take that currency for granted. But now, you've decided to cut off the supply, not out of malice, but because you've come to realize that your power was never in her hands. It has always been within your control. You simply forgot. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, didn't advocate for suppressing pain. Instead, they taught us to channel it into something transformative. They faced heartbreak head-on, viewing it as another trial, another opportunity for growth. Pain and heartbreak serve as the building blocks of strength and resilience, qualities that many shy away from. However, you are different. You are allowing these experiences to mold you. Your goal is not to win her back, but to reach a point where you no longer depend on her. The version of yourself that would have sacrificed everything for her, including sleep, dreams, and purpose, is a thing of the past. You are not seeking closure. You are cultivating discipline, detachment, and emotional mastery. You are undergoing a profound rewiring process so that when she eventually looks at your profile, she will see a transformed individual. When she eventually reaches out just to say hello, she won't recognize the person you've transformed into. That's the whole idea. She hasn't yet realized what you've become since parting ways. Welcome to the world of Stoic blessing. This is the journey of the unyielding, the quiet, the focused individual who faces trials and emerges stronger, cooler, and more composed than ever before. This isn't about heartache, it's about transformation. You're not a passive observer of your circumstances. You're the creator of your future. If you're tired of being played for a fool and ready to let go of the old you, it's time to hit that like button, subscribe, enable notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Rise from the flames. First and foremost, pain marks the start of your journey. Pain isn't something to fear, it's a gateway. Right now, you're standing at this threshold. She may have closed the door behind her, but what she didn't understand is that pain is where true strength is forged. The moment she walked away, your world might have felt shattered, but that's a positive sign. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Rebuilding requires breaking down, and the Stoics understood this concept well. They didn't shy away from suffering. Instead, they chose to confront it head-on, viewing it as the raw material necessary for growth. Just as fire doesn't destroy steel, but rather hardens it, the heartbreak you're currently carrying can be the catalyst for transformation. Don't let your suffering go to waste. Use it as the driving force to level up and become a better version of yourself. Let it be the spark that motivates you to wake up at 5 a.m., train harder, focus deeper, and eliminate distractions. Rebuild your life in a way that doesn't rely on others' validation. What dark psychology teaches us, and what many men often overlook, is that when you transform pain into power, people can sense it. They notice it in your silence, your absence, and the tone of your voice, even when you're not saying a word. The person who hurt you may have thought that the pain would ruin you, but it's about to become the foundation upon which you build your new identity. This transformation won't happen in a state of comfort or through seeking revenge. It will happen through pure, calculated self-discipline. By embracing this mindset, you'll be able to rise above your current circumstances and create a life that truly reflects. You're no longer the person you once were. Instead, you have become someone new, shaped by what she did to you, not despite it. Allow the pain to be your teacher. Let it drive you forward. Use it to destroy the old version of yourself, and vow never to bring that person back. If you're ready to stop letting heartbreak control your identity and want to transform that pain into strength, then go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I rebuild myself from the ashes of my struggles. Secondly, she expected you to pursue her. She anticipated the messages, the I miss you texts, and even apologies for things you never did wrong. She believed you would break under the weight of silence and come crawling back because that's the pattern she's witnessed before with other men. It's a repetitive cycle. Breakup, regret, chase, and maybe, just maybe, she offers a small crumb of hope. But you're no longer someone who settles for crumbs. You're preparing a banquet for yourself. The moment you stop chasing is the moment she begins to question everything. Why hasn't he reached out? Has he moved on? Is he seeing someone else? That silence isn't a sign of weakness or passivity. It's a powerful statement. It's all about pressure. This shift in dynamics can be quite profound. Previously, you may have felt a sense of powerlessness, but now she finds herself engulfed in uncertainty. This illustrates the strength that comes from emotional detachment. The Stoics were experts in this area. They understood the importance of remaining unaffected by external circumstances. They believed that desire often leads to suffering. By releasing the need for someone to return to your life, you can alleviate that suffering. This concept is a fundamental aspect of what some might call dark psychology. When things become unpredictable, it can actually enhance attraction. In contrast, men who are predictable often find themselves in the role of the pursuer. Strong men, however, tend to create distance. By doing so, you transform into an enigma, a lingering thought in her mind. When she eventually looks to see what you are up to, she won't encounter a sense of desperation. Instead, she will witness a man who is disciplined and focused, someone who has elevated his life. The most challenging realization for her will be that your life has improved in her absence. You don't chase after what has chosen to leave. Instead, you evolve into the kind of man that others regret having walked away from. This transformation isn't about playing mind games. It's about refusing to engage in the behavior she anticipated. By doing this, you assert your own value and create a sense of intrigue. What you are witnessing is not an act of cruelty. It is a demonstration of control. Within the realm of control, one can discover a sense of tranquility. If you have reached a point where you're no longer pursuing the things that have caused you pain, and you're prepared to transform into someone who commands attention and respect, then I encourage you to show your support by liking this post. Don't forget to subscribe, activate notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, my silence is a form of strength. Now, let's delve into the concept of emotional control, which is truly the highest form of self-assurance. There was a desire for a reaction from her, a nuance that may not be immediately apparent. Her intention was not merely to walk away. She anticipated that you would crumble, inundate her with messages, express anger, shed tears, and lose your composure. Such a response would have given her a sense of power. The more she could manipulate your feelings, the more significant she felt in that moment. However, when you chose not to respond, when you maintained your composure, embraced silence, and turned your focus inward, that is when the dynamics began to change. At that moment, the balance of power shifted back in your favor. Stoicism can be described as the practice of mastering oneself. Each emotion that you allow to spiral out of control is a fragment of your essence that you relinquish. Conversely, when you learn to regulate your reactions, when you can sit amidst the turmoil and remain silent, you become formidable in a way that many may find difficult to comprehend. This is not due to a lack of emotion, but rather because you have cultivated the ability to remain calm under pressure. As the philosopher Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. This insight reminds us that often our fears and anxieties are products of our minds, rather than reflections of our actual circumstances. This indicates that a significant portion of your suffering stems from how you respond to situations rather than the situations themselves. This concept is well understood in the realm of dark psychology. The essence of emotional control lies in mastering oneself, rather than exerting power over others. When you cease to react predictably, you become an enigma. This unpredictability can be a source of strength. The other person can no longer decipher your feelings. They are left in the dark about whether you are still hurting or have moved on. This uncertainty creates a psychological grip that can lead to feelings of regret. You are not attempting to display your emotions to them. Instead, you're demonstrating that they no longer have access to your emotional state. This is where your true power lies, setting a new benchmark for emotional resilience. Emotional control should not be mistaken for weakness. In fact, it represents the pinnacle of strength. If you are ready to reclaim your peace and take ownership of your emotional responses, consider showing your support by liking this content, subscribing, enabling notifications, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, I dictate what influences my emotions. The fourth point is about the idea of disappearing to become someone who is truly desired. There is a remarkable strength in a man who simply fades away from a woman's life. This disappearance is not marked by any dramatic gestures, farewell messages, or attempts to maintain a friendship. It is characterized by complete silence. You stop posting on social media, you cease to check in, and you no longer revolve around her daily existence. This sudden absence creates a palpable void, a space where your energy and presence once thrived. When you choose to vanish, you effectively take away her access to something she never anticipated losing, your presence. Many men tend to remain too close for comfort. They linger in hopes of rekindling the connection, believing that by staying in her life, they're keeping the door open for future possibilities. However, this approach is misguided. It not only hinders your own healing process, but also allows her to maintain control over the situation. The Stoics had a profound understanding of this concept. The philosopher Epictetus once stated, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." This highlights that your presence itself communicates a message. When you withdraw, you convey a powerful statement without uttering a single word. This is a sobering reality that many may find difficult to accept. Individuals frequently desire what is just out of their reach. The concept of scarcity often enhances value. When she comes to the realization that you are genuinely absent, rather than merely pretending to be, her thoughts may begin to spiral. She might find herself checking your social media stories or scrolling through past messages in an attempt to reconnect. There's a chance she may even reach out to you. However, this situation is not about the game of being hard to get. Instead, it revolves around dedicating yourself to personal growth to such an extent that she struggles to find any version of you to cling to. You choose to step back and disappear for a while, not as a means of punishment for her, but as a way to safeguard your own well-being, focus, and future aspirations. Allow her to wonder about you. Let her imagination run wild. Permit the silence between you to convey what words could never express. If you have decided that you no longer want to be easily accessible, and if you're prepared to transform into the intriguing enigma that she cannot overlook, then go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, activate notifications, and leave a comment below stating, "My absence is power." Now, let's discuss the fifth point. Silence is a powerful tool. Silence does not equate to emptiness. Rather, it embodies precision. When wielded effectively, it can penetrate deeper than any insult ever could. Many individuals find it challenging to endure silence. They often fill it with noise, drama, or desperate pleas for attention. But you are different. Your silence is purposeful, well thought out, and impactful. Silence has a unique power. It compels introspection. When someone is left alone with only their thoughts, that's when your absence begins to resonate. This isn't about ignoring her. It's about allowing the quiet to convey what words cannot. Each day you choose not to respond. Every moment you refrain from reaching out, you reinforce a message. Your inner peace is no longer negotiable. Your actions no longer require justification, and the access she once had was a privilege, one she willingly forfeited. The ancient Stoics mastered the discipline of restraint. They understood the value of speech, but placed even greater emphasis on the wisdom of silence. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the best form of revenge is to refuse to become like the person who wronged you. There's no need for outbursts or heated debates. That's precisely what she anticipates. Silence, however, disorients. It lingers. It carves out a void where she must confront the reality of losing you. But here's the unexpected part. Silence doesn't just redirect her focus toward you. It also gives you the space to rediscover yourself. It's an opportunity to listen to your own voice again, to reflect deeply, and to reclaim your clarity. Reconnecting with your sense of purpose can be a journey that doesn't involve her anymore. This is precisely why silence can be so powerful and, at times, even painful. It has the ability to heal you while simultaneously haunting her. If you find yourself exhausted from conversations with those who no longer pay attention, and if you are prepared to allow silence to convey your truth, then please show your support by liking this post, subscribing, enabling notifications, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. My silence holds a special significance. Now, let's talk about how a scar can transform into a form of protection. She may have left a mark on you, and there's no denying that. You feel that scar every time a memory resurfaces, every time a particular song plays, or whenever your thoughts wander back to what once was. However, it's important to recognize that this scar is not a sign of weakness. It has evolved from a mere wound into a piece of armor. It serves as a powerful reminder that you have endured something that was intended to shatter you. Instead of crumbling under the weight of it all, you adapted, you grew, and you learned valuable lessons. The Stoics, for instance, did not shy away from pain. They welcomed it as a part of life. Seneca famously stated, "Difficulties strengthen the mind just as exercise strengthens the body." That scar she left you with is evidence that you experienced profound emotions, faced significant losses, and yet you still managed to rise again. Many men find themselves trapped in their pain, but you are different. You harness it as a source of motivation. This distinction is crucial. Instead of becoming resentful, you emerge stronger, more focused, and with greater clarity. A common misconception is that trauma has the power to break you down. In reality, it serves as a mirror, reflecting your vulnerabilities so that you can address and improve them. It compels you to elevate your game. When you shift your perspective from hiding your scars to embracing them, a profound transformation occurs. Your demeanor changes. The way you carry yourself and communicate evolves. You no longer feel the need to pursue validation because you possess a deep understanding of what you have already overcome. This newfound confidence is unwavering. If she happens to cross your path again, she will not recognize the man she once left behind. Instead, she will see someone who has transformed the hurt she inflicted into a source of resilience. That scar will not evoke pride in her. Rather, it will serve as a reminder of her misguided belief that she could permanently shatter your spirit. If you are ready to stop concealing your pain and are eager to transform your scars into sources of strength, show your support by hitting that like button. Make sure to subscribe, enable notifications, and leave a comment below saying, "My scar is my strength." Now, let's discuss point number 7. It's essential to become an observer rather than a victim. Every individual reaches a pivotal moment in their life when they must choose whether to see themselves as a victim of their circumstances or as an observer of their own story. Unfortunately, many people do not make this choice consciously. They find themselves trapped in a cycle of blame and overthinking, allowing their emotions to drag them through a repetitive cycle of suffering. But you're different. You are awakening to a new perspective. You are learning to step outside the chaos of your emotions and observe rather than absorb them. Yes, someone may have hurt you. That is a fact. However, the responsibility now lies with you, as the pain has already occurred. Your suffering, on the other hand, is not a necessity. It is a choice. This is a key insight that the Stoics grasped. As Epictetus wisely stated, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Therefore, it's time to stop replaying the hurtful actions of others in your mind. Instead, focus on how you react to those actions. That is where your true power lies, and that is where real transformation can take place. By doing so, you will begin to recognize patterns in your responses. Consider how she skillfully manipulated your feelings, how you overlooked the warning signs, and how you crafted justifications based on your emotions. However, at this moment, you are able to view everything from a distance. There is no anger or resentment, only a sense of clarity. This newfound clarity can be incredibly powerful. When you cease to react emotionally, she loses her grip on your energy. You are no longer her marionette. Instead, you become a force of your own. This concept is also a key lesson in dark psychology. When you stop pouring your emotions into a situation, you gain the advantage. You transition into the role of an observer, calm, strategic, and unaffected. It is at this point that she begins to sense a change. The shift in dynamics, the growing distance, and the realization that you're no longer emotionally accessible because you have become impervious to her influence. If you are ready to stop being a victim of your own narrative and are prepared to watch without engaging, consider liking this video, subscribing, enabling notifications, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, I observe, but I do not absorb. Now, let's discuss the 8th point. Detachment can lead to obsession. Here lies a paradox that is often overlooked. The instant you stop feeling a need for her is precisely when she begins to feel a need for you. This isn't some form of magic. It's a psychological truth. At its core, the concept we're discussing is deeply rooted in psychology. When you genuinely achieve a state of detachment, truly letting go of the need for a specific outcome or validation from another person, you fundamentally alter the signals you are broadcasting to the world and specifically to the person in question. You cease projecting an aura of vulnerability or insecurity. You stop emitting the energy of someone who is experiencing a sense of lack or incompleteness. Crucially, you discontinue emanating the vibe of someone who is passively waiting, desperately hoping, or silently suffering over the situation. Instead, your energy shifts dramatically. You transform into an individual driven by a clear purpose, someone who is self-contained, intensely focused on their own path and goals, and fundamentally free from the emotional entanglement that previously held you back. Think of it as moving from a state of passive anticipation and neediness to one of active, self-directed living and independence. This profound internal transformation is remarkably palpable to the other person, even from a distance. She senses this shift distinctly. This remains true regardless of whether you are actively communicating, even if you have blocked her contact entirely, or if a significant period of time, perhaps months, has elapsed since your last interaction. The change in your energetic signature, the absence of the previous signals, is perceived. The reason for this lies in a natural human sensitivity, particularly noted in women, to detect the presence or absence of emotional investment and attention. We are, in a sense, wired to pick up on these subtle cues of where someone's emotional energy is directed. When that specific signal of your emotional focus and attention suddenly vanishes, when the energy of waiting and hoping is replaced by the energy of purpose and freedom, it triggers a deep, almost instinctual response within her. A cascade of introspection and uncertainty begins. She starts to ponder, to harbor doubts, and to scrutinize the entire situation from a new perspective. Specific questions inevitably surface in her mind, creating internal conflict. Why hasn't he reached out? This isn't like him. Has he genuinely moved on with his life so completely? Did he find someone better, perhaps upgrade his options, and leave me behind? Was my understanding of things incorrect all along? Did I misjudge the situation or him? Your detachment effectively transforms you from a known quantity, someone whose emotional state was perhaps predictable, into an enigma, a source of unanswered questions. And it's a well-established psychological principle that few things fuel preoccupation and even obsession quite as powerfully as unresolved mysteries and unanswered questions. The human mind craves closure, and a question mark provides none. It's crucial to clarify what true detachment, often associated with philosophies like Stoicism, is not. It is not about becoming emotionally numb, indifferent, or pretending you don't care. It doesn't mean you suddenly stop having feelings about the person or the situation entirely. What it does mean is that you have successfully separated your sense of identity, your self-worth, and your emotional state from the external outcome or the actions of another person. You are in control of your internal world, your reactions, and your focus, regardless of what happens externally or what someone else does. This is the essence of emotional control and self-possession, not emotional absence. She can't bestow value upon you, nor can she take it away. You found your balance, your stability, and your focus is now inward, not outward. This shift in energy is captivating, as most people tend to cling to external validation. You become a rarity, and with rarity comes increased worth. It's not about playing games. It's about the transformation you've undergone by redirecting your attention, care, and power towards yourself. If you're ready to be the one pursued instead of pursuing, hit that like button, subscribe, and enable notifications. Detachment is a powerful skill to master. Number 9 is all about her eventual regret. It might not be immediate, which is what initially hurts. She may walk away seemingly unaffected, with a smile and silence that cuts deep. But she fails to realize that the man she left behind is not the same man you're evolving into. Regret doesn't strike when you're broken. It strikes when you've healed and improved, and that's the path you're on. Regret is delayed pain, creeping in when the next person she encounters falls short of your evolving self. Stay the course, and the regret will be hers. Imagine a moment when your name is mentioned and it sends a shiver down her spine. Picture her noticing the incredible personal growth you've achieved, your improved appearance, steadfast discipline, and inner peace, and suddenly realizing that even before this transformation, you were already a remarkable person. Yet, she chose to let you go. She assumed that without you, you would crumble or desperately try to win her back. But, in reality, you disappeared into a journey of evolution, emerging as someone who no longer yearns to reclaim what was lost. This transformation isn't about exacting revenge or proving a point. It's about rising above and achieving a higher version of yourself, much like the Stoic philosophers. They weren't driven by the desire to get even with those who had wronged them. Instead, they focused on personal elevation. Marcus Aurelius, for example, did not spend his time fixating on enemies. Instead, he dedicated himself to the pursuit of excellence. The real insight here is that your progress is not intended to serve as a demonstration to anyone else. You are doing this because you owe it to yourself to become that empowered individual, the kind of man who neither begs for attention nor cowers in the face of adversity. It's about building a character that is self-assured and unyielding. When she eventually comes to terms with what she has lost, that should not be a moment for you to revel in her regret. Rather, it should be seen as a personal confirmation of your own success. You have reached this point not because she now regrets her decision, but because you have grown beyond the need for her validation. You didn't merely endure the pain of her departure. You outgrew that chapter in your life. And if you've reached a stage where you're no longer hoping for her to change her mind, then you have truly embraced your own potential. If you're ready to become the guy she can't forget, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'm the one she wishes she never let go. Here's number 10. You're not ruined, you're renewed. This is not your ending. In reality, it's the start of an entirely new version of yourself. You're now more perceptive, more composed, and yes, a little more formidable. When she walked away, it may have seemed like your whole world was coming apart, but looking back, it wasn't devastation, it was a controlled demolition. And that difference is crucial. Demolition clears the way for rebuilding something even stronger. It paves the path for your comeback. What's emerging right now is a man refined by quiet reflection, sharpened by pain, and transformed through self-discipline. You're no longer that same heartbroken person, no longer impulsive, overly emotional, or relying on others for approval. That previous you's been left behind, burned away by growth and experience. What remains now is someone who remains steady and unshaken, even when life throws its worst at him. Imagine a person who does not plead for affection, someone who finds tranquility within themselves rather than seeking closure from others. This is the essence of Stoicism. It describes an individual who not only endures the tempest, but embodies it. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, what stands in the way becomes the way. This heartbreak you experienced has transformed into a journey. It compelled you to awaken, to push yourself harder in your pursuits, to delve into books, to speak less, and to cultivate habits that were never inspired by her. This time, your efforts are not for someone else. They are for your own growth and fulfillment. You have not crumbled. Instead, you have shed your old self and evolved into something greater. Now, when others encounter you, they will feel your energy, your presence, and your newfound strength. However, she will not recognize any of this because the person she once knew is no longer there. If you're ready to leave the past behind and step forward as a completely renewed individual, then go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts below. I'm not shattered. I am reborn. This is the Stoic blessing, and this is merely the beginning of your journey.